Today's video, we're going to go over 3 different exercises that you can use if your upper traps are dominant over your lower traps and you can't get those lower traps to activate in the way that they need to in your sport or activity. Welcome back to Overhead Athletics. My name is Max Wardell, and I'm going to take you through how to turn on the lower trapezius and middle trapezius for somebody that's really upper trap dominant in all of their activities and exercise. We're going to get right into the video here. So what you'll see with this exercise is somebody actually going into extension. This is a general depression where they're pulling your shoulder blades down and back exercise where you're retracting, pulling them together, and then down, depressing them to activate those lower trapezius portions of the muscle. And so with this exercise, what we like to do is do a static hold where you do an isometric hold. And the reason for that is because if you go through the repetitions too quickly, a lot of times you get in a bad position and you don't really have the kinesthetic sense or positional awareness to understand where your shoulder blade is at in space. And if you let your shoulder blades hike up too high during a movement like that, you're going to do predominantly upper trap. And it's important to note here that sometimes we like to use a lot of upper trap activity for someone that has a really depressed, downwardly rotated scapula where their shoulder on one side sits lower than the other. So we'll see that from time to time in our overhead athletes and our throwing athletes. But a lot of times we see the inverse of that too, where the upper trap works really, really hard and the lower trap is really, really weak and the middle trapezius is really, really weak. So we got to do things to target those specifically in certain cases. So make sure you're applying these exercises properly. Next, what we actually like to do is do an isometric where we target the muscle in different areas of the contraction. So you can see here on this image where the lower trapezius is, where the upper trapezius is, and then where the middle portion of the trapezius is. Based on that, the angle of pull for upper trapezius is going to be more towards a 45-degree angle into above horizontal, and directly horizontal is going to be the middle trapezius. So keeping that in mind, you see this exercise where I'm just above parallel with the ground and I'm actually doing an isometric and I'm rotating my body to target different areas of the muscle. So different fibers span different lengths, and by rotating my body, I'm actually making the muscle do multiple jobs. So when I turn all the way and my hand is closest to the attachment site, my scapula has to be pulled back towards the middle. When I go the other way, it's kind of trying to pull my scapula off my rib cage. So now my lower trapezius and middle trapezius and also the rhomboids have to seal that scapula down to the rib cage. So they're doing 2 different jobs at 2 different points, and you're transitioning through it with rotation. So based on the position that you're in, different muscles or portions of the same muscle have to activate to control that. And that's why we really like this rotational exercise. From there, we can go to our more dynamic exercises where we're moving through the motion. From here, we can show our prone Y, where we've taken out a lot of components and you're just going through a Y exercise. And you might do an isometric hold where you're holding that position solid at the end, or you might not. You might transition in and out of it in a concentric and eccentric fashion where you never really stop. So you can incorporate a long hold or a 2-second or a 5-second hold, depending on what you're feeling. If you're feeling more burning in the upper portion and the upper trap, I might do a little longer hold and make sure I'm setting that shoulder blade down and back. If I'm feeling it in the right spot, I might continue with doing it in a constantly moving state. From here, we'd progress to more advanced exercises, some of the stuff we do in our corrective exercise program. Actually, the first exercise that you saw in this progression is from our free rotator cuff complete program. It's included in there. You're going to want to check that out on our website, overheadathletics.com, rotator cuff complete free. It's free to access. You don't have to put in any information. You go on there and check that out. If you're looking for more advanced things, check out our 12-week programs, and we have a corrective exercise program where we'll go through rotational corrective exercise in combination with lower trapezius strengthening and serratus strengthening and a plethora of other exercises for the upper and lower body, and that's on overheadathletics.com as well. I'm Max Wardell. Thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll see you in the next one.